You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I've just seen this really kind of documentary, and it's really helped me to reinforce the beliefs that I already had about Starfleet, so I guess that's good. How are you doing?
I don't know, it feels like the camera's really close to my face and you can see directly into my pores.
Yeah, that's unnecessary. Yeah.
Also joining us today is Sue Kisenwether. Sue, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here, less than a week before DragonCon.
Well, you know, it'd be easier to do it now than it would be next week.
That's true.
There you go.
I will not be available at this time next week. I will, in fact, be sitting on a panel with some Star Trek actors.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
And then you're also going to the New Jersey convention the weekend after, right?
Sure am. Gonna be home for 3 days.
Well, but with good reason. I mean, if you're going to have to do that,
It's true. There are worse things.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Carl Wonders and Christina De Clerck-Szilagyi. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10. And your subscription of any amount at patreon.com/BQN keeps all of the shows on the network ad-free. Alright, so this week, we ask the age-old question, what is Starfleet? Sue, what do you think of this week's episode?
Oh boy, I have to start. As I mentioned before we started recording, the first time I attempted to watch this episode, I fell asleep. And typically when that happens, I assume it is a me problem because I don't sleep enough. And the second time I watched this episode, I was kind of like, meh. And the third time I watched this episode, I didn't remember any of it, and that was just last night. So I'll say it's that, I mean, not being memorable for me is better than being bad, I guess.
Okay.
that's a good way to look at it.
All right, fair enough. So sort of a skippable episode.
Yeah, I think that's where I am with it. If like, why do we have this?
All right, Chrissie, what do you think?
I wasn't terribly enthused with it at all the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I liked it better. But I think only because I really started pondering the questions and actually thinking about it in the context of Star Trek, the aspirational being put forward here. It's okay. In a series that had a 24-episode season, would be like, okay, this is just...
Yeah, I mean, the documentary episode was a staple back in the 90s, 2000s for genre TV when they would have those 20-episode seasons.
West Wing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first thing I thought of when I saw it.
Yep. Stargate also had one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're right that it did ask some questions, but I think it didn't do anything for me because those are questions that fans have been discussing for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done this already.
And it didn't give us anything new.
Right,
To
right.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, so a common refrain for me, often is if I first watch an episode and I'm not too thrilled with it, when I watch it the second time I like it more. That didn't happen this time. Sue, I almost fell asleep the second time I watched this. Yeah, this one just didn't land for me. I don't hate it. Like, there are episodes of Star Trek I hate far more than this. But it also isn't very good.
Okay, good night.
I think I would watch all of season 2 over this one. I would watch most of season 1 over this one, and all of the previous episodes of season 3 over this one. I would still watch this before I watched season 2 of Picard.
Well, that's just a time requirement. You know, this is 40 minutes.
Fair.
So
Yes. I just want to start off by saying that Beto Ortegas is a terrible filmmaker. There was no need for the fact that this documentary is all either shots where the camera is basically pointing up people's noses, or shots where the camera is like a football field away from the people hiding behind a wall.
It's that subspace interference, man.
or having somehow pulled from the ship's logs and gotten Starfleet to declassify them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not enthused with the idea that every camera on the ship starts recording as soon as they go into red alert.
I assumed every camera on the ship was always recording.
Yeah.
I did too. Next Gen taught us that every camera is recording and every microphone is listening, because Data goes through the whole list of how many people are having sex in that one episode.
Yes.
So,
plus, Picard was able to show the last time on Star Trek to Riker when he joins at Farpoint.
It's including the exterior.
I mean, that happens in the menagerie too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it was just the way it was said. I couldn't help but think of cause and effect, and Data's going down the list of what's going on in the show.
Yeah, and so every once in a while they'll need to, on Star Trek, like, yeah, there's cameras everywhere except when the plot requires that there not to be a camera.
Yeah, it broke.
Like, the cameras never caught when people were being murdered on Star Trek.
No,
anytime someone's getting murdered, never a camera.
Or if the camera's working, it's obscured because it's the holodeck and there's. I don't remember if that's actually happened. I might have.
Yeah, but you can also, like, just rebuild the camera scene in the holodeck and say, "Computer, show me what's obscured in this image," and it'll.
That's true.
Right, because holodecks are magic.
You can go into a holodeck and find a creature that has a shadow but no visible entity, and then recreate that creature.
And when you ask the computer to show you a metal table, it'll show you the exact table you were thinking of.
It's true. The leap from like a conference table to this weird laboratory.
Yeah,
oh, it's so great. Oh, Star Trek is great.
Yes.
It is. All right, so I do want to present a serious bit of information, bit of thought here before we go completely goofy.
Too late.
Too late, yes, but
Yeah, listeners, we are recording this one in the evening, and I'm sure you have known in the past when we've done evening episodes, we're
tired.
Yeah.
A little punch drunk.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, okay, so on my second or third watch, I watched it 3 times, and it occurred to me that this episode demonstrates the tension between what is aspirational and what we're looking at in Trek and what we want it to be, and the reality and the history behind these things. Okay. So the first thing that I jumped on is his idea of, is Starfleet, he says they both colonize. Empires and Starfleet colonize. Okay. This is an intentional misrepresentation to me. Okay.
Yes.
Because on Earth, colonizing equals pushing indigenous people off land.
Yes.
Because there is no completely uninhabited territory by the time colonies start happening. I mean, you could.
There were some islands, but other than that, yes.
Yeah. I mean, you could go back to like maybe arguing that the Phoenicians that colonized some of North Africa, maybe they took a spot that there wasn't anybody living at that point. Maybe the Greeks set up shop somewhere that there weren't people in close proximity, but it's still it's not what colonization is for the Federation, which is look, here's an uninhabited world. Let's put some people on it. Now, I know there have been episodes
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that becomes a whole thing. It's
Right.
the exception rather than the rule.
More
Right,
often
and the
than
exception is
not,
understood
the
to be a
impression is that it was uninhabited.
And
Right.
when it turns out not to be, it's because they were mistaken about that, not
Typically.
because
Right.
they were planning to steal it from... except in the few cases where, there's the bad admiral that wants to. But, that's a whole other thing. And that's also
But that
always
is-
shown as not being what Starfleet's and
Right,
the Federation
right.
rules actually say.
Right. So Federation colonization is not wrapped up in the destruction of indigenous populations. It is involving the exploitation of resources, but okay, you want to get into that argument about using resources, that's a whole other thing that
I mean,
he's not talking about.
I don't even see that being a problem when you're not taking those resources.
I agree. I mean, it's the whole, like, there's a finite resource, and maybe there's an issue with the fact that it's finite, but...
Right, there's an argument to be made for sustainability.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's a different thing.
But that's
So,
a whole other conversation. Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah.
So right off the bat, he's making this argument that Federation colonies are equivalent to, the Spanish landing in the Americas, and the French and the English and the Dutch and the rest. And that's not true. If you want to really get into the nitty gritty, could you argue that if that world were left alone, would be sentient life on it? Well, sure, but I don't have
but
time
I'm
for
not.
that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
No, that's not how this works.
No.
So that's issue number one I have. All right. Issue number two is that we have no actual reality comparison that we can make with the type of expeditions that are aspirational for Starfleet, because there has never been purely scientific explorational expeditions in human history, because they've all had some kind of ulterior motive, whether it was colonization or exploitation of resources or let's send these people away because we don't like them, So,
Charles Darwin, maybe?
Yeah, I noted. Well, he was on a military ship, though. He was with the British Navy.
I thought it was the SS.
Or no, the ship wasn't. Excuse me, the ship wasn't military, but they had a Navy escort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't there trade of some kind involved as well? I you know what? I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, but
I'm not thinking that's
Anyway,
probably
doesn't
the
matter.
closest I can think of.
Right.
For...
And what I noted down was the closest comparison we can make is expeditions like those done by National Geographic.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Maybe
even that is for profit.
Right.
Well,
And-
I mean,
And if
I
it's
was
a trade
thinking
mission,
maybe
it's for
maybe
profit.
like South Pole Ernest Shackleton type of stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you that. So there's one example.
Just
Two
but because it's such a harsh environment that nobody could live there,
Right.
Yeah, and it's just the matter of like we got there first, and we're going to plant the flag.
Right.
But even getting
it's
to the
still
moon was not without its
Oh, it was hugely
ulterior
political.
motive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because everything is.
So I think that's part of why this has been a conversation for the entirety of Trek existing, because we can't fathom the idea that you could have an organization that has this purely aspirational ideal and tries to live up to it and fails. Even the thing about Starfleet, if you watch early Enterprise, right, and you look at that and you go, they're just out there for the exploration stuff. It's not even true from the get-go, because the first thing they have to do is take the Klingon home, right? And then Starfleet gets wrapped up in the Federation, and its creation gets wrapped up in the Romulan War. And so I think Beto might be letting perfection get in the way of progress. Did I word that correctly? He's letting the idea of what could be get in the way of. So that was the most, that was what I got out of this, is he's presenting it, he's being critical about it, which he gets called out on. I know we'll get to that. And he's also being disingenuous.
Yeah, and when he's asking what separates a federation from an empire, here it is. The members of the Federation are there by choice. That is what separates a federation from an empire.
legitimate voting rights.
I mean, I know you're talking in universe, but like, I'm not sure it's that deep, right?
Go for it.
Like,
I want to have this discussion.
I think. I mean, my thoughts as you were talking were, out of universe, if you will, thoughts.
Sure.
But like, I think
please.
that the writers just wanted to present this as being a controversial documentary, and they used as a shortcut, it felt like, today's controversial buzzwords, like colonizer, as just a way to like ruffle people's feathers and let them know, like, this is not a friendly start to this documentary.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the reading of the character motivation, but I don't necessarily think that's intentional.
I didn't like that. I did not. Yeah, that was a little too on the nose.
Yeah. And it's... Yeah, I agree that that is what they're... That does seem like what they're trying to do, and it just doesn't work.
No. We've seen too many Starfleet missions where Starfleet goes to help, whether that's help or give weapons to one side or the other. And then in this case, their presence, if not justified in the first place, was justified after the fact by what happens. So the other thing, when he says they both impose, the Cat Federation imposes its laws. They both impose their laws and doctrines on others, but the existence of the Prime Directive immediately indicates that that's not true. Now,
I mean, the Federation does require that its members follow its laws, but again, they don't have to be a member of the Federation. They are allowed to leave.
And the laws that have to be consistent across the board are like, you can't have slavery on your planet. It's not like, these are our municipal rules about street lamps.
Right.
Yeah, there is a recurring, I guess, storyline or theme in TOS of the Enterprise shows up and tells the people living on this random planet that they're doing everything wrong and they should do it another way, and then they leave.
Good old
But,
libertarian Kirk. Yep.
Yeah, that does not necessarily, that doesn't really carry through to the other series.
No. Yeah, no, there's the one that I think of for sure that it really feels like they were in the wrong is the Apple, where the people are in a perfectly happy society under the guidance, rulership, whatever of Vol. There's nothing wrong with these people. These people are living happy lives, healthy lives, but Kirk can't abide that they don't have sex.
Oh no!
That's just horny Gene Roddenberry. That's not even... a man who can't imagine that as a concept.
I absolutely believe that Gene Roddenberry can't imagine that as a concept, yes.
Yeah. I'm quite sure he would, hear the word asexual and be, what?
Yeah, I don't think that conversation would go well.
You like amoeba? No, that's different. Yeah, so, it starts out from but he kind of gets I don't want to say he gets a comeuppance from that, but he kind of gets taught a lesson.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly, Uhura certainly gives him a piece of her mind.
Well, they make it about, you're mad because Starfleet took your sister away. Not like you actually care about these things you're proclaiming to care about.
Yes, and that's why I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because
I agree. I mean, I don't like the idea, the things that he's complaining to care about don't really work either. But yes, I especially don't like that then it turns the entire thing into... And yes, perhaps he is mad that Starfleet took his sister, but that doesn't change the fact that he believes the things he says in this documentary.
Right.
Assuming that he believes, I'm just assuming that.
That's also possible, yeah.
I also don't necessarily buy that Starfleet Command hired a documentarian to create a documentary on Starfleet, and they would not vet it before it was viewed.
Well.
We don't...
like with the episode of The West Wing, we don't know when this is being shown.
That's true.
This could be something Michael Burnham dug up in archives that nobody cares about anymore.
Or it could be like the Stargate episode where no one ever saw the documentary.
Yeah. What bothered me about the whole thing is that she talks about how joining Starfleet gave her agency, gave her control over her life. But I couldn't remember her talking anything about her early life being out of control, and now I'm looking at Memory Alpha page, and all we know about her is she has 2 siblings. She was born in Colombia, and her middle school was named after Travis Mayweather.
We get a little more in the most recent Strange New Worlds novel, but of course none of that is necessarily canon. But
yeah, because I was thinking about that as I was watching it, and I'm like, oh no, wait, that's not.
Star Trek hasn't fully developed a backstory for one of their main characters. I'm shocked.
Well, I assumed I'd forgotten something. Honestly,
the irony being that her high school was named for Travis Mayweather. That just is some real icing on the cake for that.
Yeah. So now we've established that she had some kind of, for lack of a better word, uncontrolled upbringing, which could mean anything.
I mean, I suppose that you could sort of get the impression that she was an angry, troubled kid because they have portrayed her as someone who breaks the rules when she thinks she knows better and a lot of anger after the war. But you haven't established that in any way.
Right.
I would believe it, but you haven't established it.
We do get some stuff about Spock's childhood.
That's the one character we don't need more backstory on.
Right, I was going to say, we get stuff about Spock's childhood, which is just more of the same that we already knew about Spock's childhood for the most part.
I've read a lot about Spock this week.
I'm sorry. I'm guessing it probably wasn't well written.
Some of it was.
PG. Not that it needs to be PG. I don't know.
So before we started recording, Sue mentioned that she's been reading through a bunch of old fanfic this week.
For DragonCon. For a panel I am presenting late at night at DragonCon about the history of Star Trek fanfiction, in which excerpts will be read by audience volunteers.
Amazing.
Which is awesome. I mean, I love the idea of researching that, but I completely understand how.
Are you going to include
researching it is
Picard Crusher werewolf line?
Yes, I am.
Didn't know
I
about that.
sure as heck am.
Oh, see, okay, because I grew up watching Next Gen, and it was just. I was always a Beverly Jean-Luc shipper, right? But
that is correct.
When I discovered fan fiction, yes, that is the correct thing to think. When I discovered fan fiction, it was not Trek fan fiction; it was X-Files.
Oh yeah,
X-Files. I'm introduced
X-Files
to much
exploded.
Older,
yep.
Okay, and with more understanding of that. And when I found Star Trek fan fiction that was like that, I didn't want to read it. I was like, no.
Well, I mean, there's certainly more on screen in the X-Files to stoke those fires.
Yes.
As it were.
Yes. But
Trekkies don't need much, I'll tell you.
No, they don't. No, they don't. But I laugh at myself because people talk about reading Trek fan fiction, and I was just like, I'm sorry.
But hey, I assume this is coming out before DragonCon. Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Trek Track. Come read smutty old fan fiction with me.
There we go.
Yeah, this is coming out on Tuesday.
Yes. DragonCon starts Thursday.
There we go. I'm sure someone will be listening to this while traveling.
And run far, far away.
One of these years I want to go to DragonCon, but I'm also afraid of DragonCon.
Well, Thad, I also happen to run the DragonCon Newbies events, so I can help you out with that.
There you go.
It'll have to be a year I don't go to Vegas, I think.
Yeah, that I do not recommend.
That won't happen. So
Anyway.
yeah, no, I know we don't really need to know anything else about Spock, but I like the idea that we now have heard that we have specific instances of him running off to the mountains. You know, it's that monologue that Sarek gives in Unification, always he's a river not to run. And it's just yet another reason. And I like that.
And that was really
also,
established in the animated series, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
In yesteryear.
Yes, it
But
is
that's
canon.
just-
Thank you, DC Fontana.
But I mean, that was a pretty gut-wrenching moment. You know, the idea that but it occurs to me that might be a positive example for depression in that way. Like, he was doing this. That's probably not what they were intending to present.
Yeah. And I'm obviously not, like, super thrilled with the fact that he could only... But that, like, basically Vulcans are so racist that he couldn't stay on Vulcan, is how it kind of reads.
Yeah, but think about the Vulcans that we saw in Enterprise, and that isn't... Some of those are still alive, and their children and grandchildren are probably... You know, the grandchildren definitely would be in Spock's cohort. Great-grandchildren. So, I mean, that's possible. Think about...
With such a long-lived species, the generational turnover will be a lot slower. So you'd expect things to take a lot longer to change when you're talking about, like, social reform. And it is certainly presented between, like, Enterprise and TOS that it happens in a snap. Like, Kirshara, yes, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that that we do get in one of those shots that's from a football field away. We do get Spock talking about the training, his training in the teachings of Surak, and we get a reference to his Esper capability, which is a where no man has gone before reference.
But he says Salat wrong.
He does.
It made me sad.
Almost everyone says
Salat. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I didn't realize.
That's the thing, like, probably only Thad and I care about.
No, I saw Larry Nemechek had a rant about it a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that makes sense as well.
Okay.
I guess last week because of the episode about
Now I'm self-consciously thinking back to how I pronounced it last week, and I'm sure it was wrong. So
I'm probably pronounced it wrong last week as well, but it is supposed to be Salat.
Not
and if DC Fontana were still here, she would back that up.
Right. So, yeah, I think the generational thing is just to make it really, like, to put a really fine point on it. Vulcan lifespans are such that, in comparison to, like, the modern United States, you could have people still alive who were involved in the American Revolution.
Yep.
Which means you could have people still alive who had owned slaves and been forced to give them up.
Well, I mean, some of the people who were part of the January 6th insurrection also would have protested school integration.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we?
The beginning.
I did just look at the outline to see what number we were on, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Don't feel bad. We don't.
Yeah, no,
we don't follow. The outline is Chrissie's brain on a paper.
Okay, great.
That's the notes that I take. Wow.
It's not necessarily exactly something we need to follow perfectly.
I mean, I very much experienced that.
I am neurotic about note taking, as you might have noticed from the outline format.
I took 3 notes.
I didn't know I was going to be doing this.
Well, there you go. I'm afraid I'll forget.
Yeah, no, fair.
No.
You know?
Yes, very fair.
So, no. I will too, but it's like there wasn't a lot I wanted. I like immediately I need to talk about that for this one. I will say something I mentioned in a previous episode. It was in the Space Adventure Hour that they used the 16:9 aspect ratio for all the show scenes.
Oh, yeah.
They do the same thing with this one. All those shots from the documentary are in the full frame.
Didn't notice that. Okay. Never said I had an eye for detail. I was expecting him, when he was talking to La'an, I was expecting to hear about her background.
Yeah.
Because that felt to me like something he could have jumped on.
Oh, yeah, he could have gone in. Yeah, I mean, he gets a little, because he does mention, like, would you shoot first at the Gorn?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
We have spent so much time on her
ancestry.
background. Oh, that part of her background.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have been more specific.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, fair.
I mean, it could be well, okay, hold on. We know as an audience that she herself is also genetically modified. Do the other characters know that?
Well, she's not directly
she says
genetic.
So.
No, she's inherited genetic modifications.
Yeah.
She has not been... Her embryos were not modified, but because she's descended from modified people, there are some of those genes in her.
Do they make
when she
that
talks about it,
distinction?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I don't remember.
when she talks... Well, it's
not in this episode.
Oh!
Yeah.
Is it an episode we haven't seen yet?
No, it's in the past.
Okay, great.
It was last season, I think.
She talks about it with Una.
Yeah.
And how she was taunted as a child as somebody who was an augment, even though she wasn't.
Well, I mean, the taunting could have happened just from her name, but I thought there was a line she had this season where she said, "I do have genetic modifications," or something to that effect.
No, she says something about the genetically modified something, but the way I took it to mean was it's that she had, because her ancestors were genetically modified, and the way genes work, she has some of those modifications in her, even though she herself was not directly modified.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if Memory Alpha says anything. I mean, not that I don't trust you, I just don't remember.
Fair.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
mean, I look things up on Memory Alpha all the time in the podcast.
Yes.
So this little thing on Memory Alpha, the only thing it really mentions is Lon never demonstrated the abilities of an augment like Khan's enhanced strength, suggesting that blah, 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 blah. But I feel like that is old and that she has now demonstrated the abilities.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway.
There's a fine line between I've inherited advanced strength and I've worked my body to a point where I'm strong.
But I think she actually credits her genetic enhancements for something this season. Yeah. I believe Sue is correct.
At any rate, not the point of why you brought it up. But
that's okay.
I mean,
yeah.
Even whether or not it is known or admitted that she has inherited or had some kind of enhancement, just having her name links her to this, right? So yeah, it is a I don't know if it's valid, but it is a expected thing.
I mean, I don't know. 5 years from now, no one knows that name.
It's true. But I guess it would be theoretically expected that Beta would ask about it and try to provoke her.
Yeah.
Unless maybe somebody went to him, maybe Erica went to him and said, "Look, this is off limits," but we don't have any evidence of that.
Yeah, and the episode's only 40 minutes long, so they wouldn't have decided to do that and then decided there wasn't time or something. It's interesting that they don't in any way go into that. Unless
they've decided they're done with the genetic engineering storyline.
That might be.
Possible.
It felt like...
La'an has a lot of storyline.
Yeah. Plus, it kind of felt like the whole attempt to make, the genetic augment cinematic universe where all the shows were doing it didn't really go anywhere. But
I mean, come on. Kidnapped by the Gorn, augment, alternate universe romance with Kirk, this universe romance with Spock. Come on.
Okay, but who doesn't want to have a romance with Spock?
Literally no one.
It's just a given.
I have proof. It's a bunch of fans.
So speaking of what have we decided to call it? Spawn?
I think Spawn is the best. Is the best way to do it.
Are people really saying Spawn?
I would say Spawn personally.
Oh, I hate them both.
I've also seen La'ak, but that's just
La'ak,
dumb.
Yeah. Anyway, so just very subtle. He hands her a cup of coffee in one of the scenes, or a cup of tea. He hands her a mug.
Yeah. Well, when
just
he's
a nice
talking
touch.
about how Starfleet enables him to explore his humanity, there's also a quick cut of them together, which I thought was
that's
nice.
true. I'm a sucker for the little things of life like that.
Mm-hmm.
When they integrate those, that's important, because that's actually how... I used to say things like that were love languages, but then I found out that the concept of a love language it wasn't somebody... it was basically being used as a way to explain why men were abusive.
Oh, my love language is beating you? Great.
Well, I don't think it was quite that blunt, but yeah.
Physical touch?
Oh, boy.
And it was being used to exploit women's labor in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah, love language is service. Oh, God.
Acts of service, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Those are... That love language book was a big seller in the conservative Christian circles.
That was a big seller in general. I remember at the bookstore, we never had fewer than 10 copies on the shelf, and I didn't know it was that kind of a...
Yeah, that's...
Anyway, so we get Lon defending, even though he does not ask her about her ancestry, she does talk about having to use violence. It's always defensive. Everything that's discussed here, which I think is...
Do you mean defensive like...
Self-defense.
The characters are being defensive, or they are claiming that they act in self-defense?
That violence is used when...
In self-defense,
yeah.
Because, I mean,
violence
I think you could mean it both ways, really.
Absolutely, yeah. Hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Pike certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
I did like how he pinned him down on that. Have you ever seen somebody die? I mean, that's...
Okay, but he also knows that he's seen somebody die.
Well, we don't know when he filmed that.
Oh, that's true. We don't know. He may have filmed that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the impression you're supposed to get.
The only marker that we have for sure of when this happens, Spock and Lon's, and that Spock and Lon's relationship, and also that he and Uhura. But he and Uhura kind of had his thing going from the get-go in the season, so it could be... All of this could be at any point.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, we should probably talk about, the big events of the episode at some point.
The whales, you mean? The space whales?
Like, they're... Whales?
They're whales?
Is not the word that I would have used. They're
The
like
sound was
space
whale-like.
moths.
Okay. They're space moths. I agree, but the when you hear them...
I was really concerned about my memory for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. The space moths that make whale noises?
Yes. Yeah, they make... Well, but I think of them as space moths, yes.
Yeah, no, that's actually a better... describe them.
So we've got their mission is to...
Their mission is to film a fucking documentary.
Yeah, but it's...
Sorry, should I not have sworn?
It's okay.
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
I mean, that's the best part, because Pelia is the best part of this episode. Because Carol Kane is the best part of anything she's in, period.
Well,
Is she not in the... Wait, is she in this one?
For like a line. Right? At the
You're thinking of...
I'm thinking of the beginning of a different episode.
You're thinking of the end of the... Yeah.
Yep.
When she's like, should I do that again for the camera?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, never mind.
Which is a beautiful moment.
And it's wild that it's not in the documentary.
Yeah.
Probably because they didn't want to pay Carol Kane for the episode.
Probably.
I mean, I imagine she's not cheap.
No.
I certainly hope she's not.
And they had to put all of that money into the space moth. But yeah, I mean, did it not sound like the whales from Star Trek 4?
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're transporting a space moth to the Lutani. And there's a whole bunch of classified. I don't think we ever fully understand why it was decided that they were helping them.
Well, we know they were bringing them cargo. And the cargo was unspecified, but Ortega definitely thought it was weapons.
Right. But it's like... it's never really explained why Starfleet was helping the Lutani at all.
Right. I agree. in terms of why they were, like, escorting the moth.
Well, or even giving them cargo. Like, are they
Yeah.
Federation members? Or are
They're
they
not. No,
trying
that
to
was-
get them to be Federation members? Are they like,
Wait,
we'll
no.
help you if you join us, friendos?
The Jakaru.
Yeah, the Jakaru is the space moth, and the Lutani are at war with the Kasari.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could maybe argue that they're trying to present themselves as arbiters, but then they shouldn't be helping one side over the other.
Well, and what happened to non-interference?
Right, yeah, this feels like a strong prime directive sort of thing here.
They're in space, though. Are they warp capable already?
Well, the prime directive isn't just about...
Yeah,
No.
there is
There's
no...
But it's also,
The non-interference part of the prime directive is what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, but they're
non-interference
not the
with
same.
non-warp faring,
right.
But then
whatever.
there's also
But yeah, there's also non-interference with like with non-Federation governments.
Internal
like not
politics.
getting
Yeah.
involved
The Klingons.
with... Yes.
The Klingon Civil War. But these are not...
Right.
This is two separate planets that are attacking each other.
Yes.
So I think that... I don't think the Prime Directive applies.
I mean, wouldn't that be each of their internal politics?
Yeah, getting involved with a war that you're not part of.
Well,
If
again, I
neither
don't know if
is a
they
member
were-
of the Federation.
So...
They can still request aid.
Yeah, and part of it, I think, because we do get that screen, the text info screen, where it shows that they say that Lutani was attacked by Kassar, and that Kassar is attempting to lay claim to Lutani. So it's showing that Kassar is the aggressors and not Lutani, and it's also listing that the Lutani have lost 9 million compared to the Kassars losing 119,000. So I think they're trying to show this as like a humanitarian sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah, let's... I think we can assume that they were not carrying weapons to them, that was...
Yeah.
You know...
Well,
food,
turns out they
medicine,
were,
cargo.
but
well,
we didn't
okay,
know that.
unintentionally. But they as soon as they found that out, they stopped.
Yes.
So that's...
But did
But
they
yeah,
stop because it was a weapon, or did they stop... They stopped because they were, enslaving a sentient species?
Sentient being.
Yeah.
Good point. I don't know.
I mean, both are valid reasons.
I mean, it seems, again, memory bad, but the impression that I have come away with is that the space moth asked them to stop, and that is why they stopped.
Yeah. Well, that was they asked to help it commit suicide.
Mm.
The importance of the conversation and the fact that they didn't want to communicate with it was part of that.
Well, and it said, like, make sure my children aren't enslaved, right?
Right. That
Yeah.
was, yeah. And that's, again, establishing the sentience, and then all of a sudden now we have a different...
Right. Because they seemed to know that it could be used as a weapon beforehand
seemed like
and
they had-
would have
It's-
continued on.
What, they who?
They,
The Federation
Starfleet.
or-
Yeah.
They
Oh,
the people
no,
on
I-
the ship.
Oh,
at,
yes.
at the
once
very
they
least,
figured out
when we
there was
see one of those secret conversations between Pike and April.
Right, because
Yeah.
Pike is like, this is the mission. Or maybe it's April who's like, this is the mission. Go do your mission.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. They don't stop it until they find out it's sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that... Yeah,
Which I
that's not
feel
good.
like providing... Like, there's a difference between providing humanitarian aid and providing weapons.
Mm-hmm. But Pike is uncomfortable with it, but he's
Mm-hmm.
still following orders. He's not about to, go rogue and beam down to Baku or anything.
No. So, Mbenga...
I do not recall. Yeah.
Okay.
Mbenga, I do not
Focus.
recall.
Yeah, I don't remember anything he did in this episode.
No. The joke is he says that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. Got you. Didn't remember.
There you go. That's how important it was. Yeah, I liked that Beto did the trying to be a reporter thing and called him out, but
Why did they hire Beto? Wouldn't they
Because
want
his
somebody with more
sister-
experience?
well, we don't know how much experience he has.
Erica's a lieutenant. It's not like she has pull to get her brother hired.
is this a style that some people like, perhaps?
It's very confusing. I'm very confused. I have many questions.
It's the future. We just assume that it's a style that's in right then.
Anyway, so the space moth.
Yeah. Okay, so I like how the space moth is kind of it's juxtaposed with Una talking about. I almost just called her Luna, and then I'm telling you this.
Well, because Luna moth is probably
yeah. But how Una talks about how Starfleet's mission is to bring warmth and light to the dark, cold, which I like. I feel that. I get where she's coming from with that. And then I look at it and go, this is assuming that the Federation's way of light and people want to be. But, okay.
What if I'm a mushroom and I like it cold and dark?
Or just a nerd.
Yeah. And he sees that, or she's talking about that. I think it's either right before or right after one of the scenes where we see the moth light up.
Yeah. So yeah, the Jikaru, which I'm going to keep calling the space moth, is... So they're going to...
Space Mothra.
Ooh, I like that.
Because it's a mother. It is Space Mothra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the moths go through a transformation, so they turn into moths from planetoid caterpillars to space moths.
Would assume.
Yes. And it actually comes up out of the ocean, so I guess they're like ocean caterpillars. And I guess this is a whole sanctuary for them, because there's a shield that prevents them from leaving, except when they need to take one. And they drop the shield, and the one that just transforms that they're going to be taking comes out, and it gets attacked by Lutani's ship, which is interesting, because I thought we were taking this to visit the Lutani.
They realize that they made a mistake.
Yes. So the moth defends itself with a radiation burst that does kill the Lutani, but not before one of them tells Mbenga that they can't use the moth. They should not use the moth.
And you see how effective a weapon it would be.
Mm.
Yeah. And this is where we get the interspersed conversation with Mbenga, where he asks, have you ever killed someone? And he says, I do not recall. Have you ever turned off the cameras in sickbay? I do not recall.
Mm.
Yes, would you like to hear about the time I was hiding my daughter? I don't only turn off the cameras to kill people.
And his confirmed kills are redacted.
He was special ops in a
Yeah,
war.
Yeah.
In a war, yes.
I'm impressed that they'll even say which battles he was in.
Yeah.
Well, if he's said publicly what battles he's in.
Yeah. Well, because the little, the screen
Chiron
that shows
thing.
his Chiron, yes, that shows his Starfleet record in the asymmetric warfare division.
Yes,
but Starfleet's not military, but it is, and
yes.
Most of these people have been in a war. Mm-hmm.
Particularly this cohort. Yeah,
yeah. Why are we acting surprised that they have had to kill? It sucks. And I think it actually is a very interesting character choice for Mbenga, because you have, a doctor who has sworn the Hippocratic Oath, but you've also got a special ops officer, and there's a lot of conflict in that. But this is not the way to show it to me.
Yeah, we've seen that already.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole storyline about that.
It almost feels like a clip show.
Yeah.
But it's not a clip show.
Right. Because this is all new footage, but the way it's interspersed, yeah.
And it's not like when Stargate did the fake clip show, and it was good.
Yeah. Once the creature destroyed the Lutani ship, then they're going to try to catch it and lead it to it as planned. And they're prepared to destroy it if they have to. But Spock had a mental reaction to this. This is when they mentioned the Esper ability, so he wants to communicate with it, but of course with the neural damper that's preventing it from using its radiation weapons, it also can't communicate.
So they have to go have a mind meld in a shuttle from far away.
This is all like a standard, like, it feels like an amalgamation of like 5 or 6 different Star Trek episodes that we've all seen before, which I think is the point.
Which is why it has that clip show vibe.
Yes, which is why it has a clip show vibe. It's also part of why it doesn't, like, it didn't really resonate with any of us.
It's not new. There's nothing new here.
Yeah, this is all the same. Yeah. It's you know, Tin Man, an encounter at Farpoint, and the immunity syndrome, and
Devil in the Dark.
Yeah, it's just a whole mishmash of a Star Trek thing that we've all seen before.
Yeah.
So I feel like we don't even need to deeply go into the whole story on it.
No.
If for no other reason than we've been recording for an hour and 46 minutes, even though that's probably only like half an hour of usable content.
Oh, it's at least as much as the episode.
Patreon bonus content.
We should start doing that.
The patrons get the unedited infinite diversity. That's a terrifying thought.
It is. I would not want to do that.
I've considered that a couple times.
I mean, listening to that outtakes episode that you did for Women at Warp, I mean, I think that could have been pretty good.
There was so much more that we didn't save or I couldn't find.
So yeah, they determine, surprise, the space monster's sentient, and they don't like being used as weapons. Go figure. But also, the neurodampener has irrevocably damaged it too. So now it can't be saved, which is really sad. So it makes Spock promise that they will keep its children from becoming weapons, and then it flies into it. And the
poetic, but
the Lucani are not happy about that.
And that makes Beto decide that Starfleet is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Beto watched an episode of Star Trek and now knows that Starfleet's cool, is basically what happened here.
Mm-hmm. I did like the end, showing the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Uhura calls him out for everything that he's done. Yeah, but the end is pretty nice. I do like the way everything's cut together at the very end. It is pretty nice. And we get to see food cubes.
Yeah! But there wasn't a kiwi and a strawberry.
Unless those cubes were kiwis and strawberries.
Well, they could have been kiwis.
When there's the close-up of Una eating it, I think it's a piece of watermelon. And that's what is Starfleet.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm still, even after talking about the whole thing, it wasn't. I can see what they were trying to do with the episode, I guess, but it just doesn't land for me.
No. The most interesting part to me was thinking about the ideas at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
I'm just like, meh. It's somewhere in the middle, if we're ranking like every episode of Star Trek ever.
Sure.
It has a lot of episodes that are kind of like it. I'm like, if I want to watch a particular episode of Star Trek, I doubt it's ever going to be this one.
Yeah, same.
But like, I'm not offended by it. It's not Turnabout Intruder. Like,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't piss me off like some of them do. Like I would watch this over Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach because it doesn't actively make me mad.
It's not
or sad.
Yeah, or both.
Yeah,
it's not Code of Honor. Like,
yeah. All right. So, anyone have anything else we want to say about what is Starfleet? I feel like we talked about Stargate as much as we did Star Trek tonight. And
I think that says enough about this episode.
Stargate does not care about a prime directive.
I like I said, I think the most interesting part was what I was talking about at the beginning. If this were a real documentary made by a real filmmaker, I would not trust other things that he has.
Oh yeah, no, it's clearly, the whole thing is clearly set up as like this is not an impartial documentary.
No. Not that there's ever, there's bias in everything, but I mean, this is like,
Yeah, this is a hit
come
piece.
on, man. Look at what you're looking at.
But also,
Learn
his
beyond
sister
learn
is
about
one of
this
his
thing before.
subjects.
Mhm.
Yeah, that bothers me from the get-go.
And I also just really hate his filmmaking style. Like, what is with the super close-ups? They're terrible.
Yep.
You just don't understand his art, Thad.
It's true, I don't.
That's the modern filmmaking of the 23rd century. I mean,
I'm surprised they even make films. I think it would be all about the holodrama.
well, the holodecks are a little unstable.
Well, yeah, but they could. Okay. I guess I'm surprised they make they do like 2D watch on a screen films in the 23rd century. You'd think they would all be like those, even if they're not interactive, but like a 3-dimensional holographic thing.
You could pretend that it is.
It's true. Then that close up on Spock's ass really would have popped.
Yeah.
Wait, Spock's popping his ass?
All right. So it's a meh episode. He doesn't understand the history of colonialism and what colonialism actually means. He needs to take a class with me.
Yeah, he needs to watch Chrissie's History Corner.
Yeah. Which we haven't had much opportunity for, but we did some today.
It also feels like with how they have set up the remainder of the season, like the second half of the season, it just doesn't fit. At least to me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like they set up we were going to see a documentary at some point. Just with the first half, we had all those times here.
Right, but I don't mean the
things.
documentary, but like the story of the mission that they're showing us.
Yeah. It stands out of, it's not related to any.
So you're saying it's episodic?
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
All right. Do either of you have any more thoughts that we need to, or things we haven't discussed yet?
Looking forward to next week.
Oh yeah, always.
Always.
Next week is 4.5 Vulcans.
Yeah.
So, the internet lost its mind when it saw that clip at SDCC last year, and I don't expect the reaction to be any calmer when the full episode comes out.
Nope. People are going to love it or hate it.
Yes. Sue, thank you so much for joining us for the discussion today. Where can listeners find you online? Do you have any current or upcoming work you want to mention?
Sure. Yeah. So I am over on Blue Sky at Subspace Sue. And actually, there's a website now as well at subspacesue.com. I have a chapter in a recent book about Deep Space Nine, where I talk about having religious trauma and how I relate to Kai Wynn about it. That is called Outside In. It's Outside In Can Live With It is the name of the book. I'll be at Dragon Con. I'll be at other things. I don't know. That's enough places. That's where I am. You can find my old stuff at womenatwarp.com. You know, the internet.
Internet's the best place to find most people.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
Chrissie, where can our listeners find you when you're not pointing a camera at people's noses?
I do take a lot of pictures, but I try not to take poor shots. Right. So in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with Zloggies here on the BQN. That's that twice-weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. And I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook. And I'm on the various socials as The Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where you can see my opinions about Star Trek and history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you're not... I really need to think about these ahead of time and write them down. Not like we don't do this every
secretly recording
time.
their private conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they don't find me then.
Yeah, really, that's the whole point. Thad, where can people find you when you're not trying to communicate with Space Mothra?
Well, I would only be doing so that Space Mothra can help Space Godzilla.
Appropriate.
You can find me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's license spelled with a C like the British do it. We started out talking about James Bond, and once we ran out of that, we are now talking about Columbo. You can also hear me. You can also find all of my podcasts and socials on my website. That's tyrannicus.net. That's tyranicus.net.
All right, and don't forget all of our other great shows here on the BQN. Here's a recording of Amy to tell you all about them.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey and Mitch, self-proclaimed gamers who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through Star Trek Cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into Beta Canon with Peter, host of the Trek Book Club on Twitter and Blue Sky, and his companion Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey and MC. If you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with new 8-week seasons in the spring and fall. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bev. And for our patron members, we have the Hive Mind with script readings and roundtable discussion, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. You can keep up with all of these shows by following the network at BQN Podcasts on Instagram and Blue Sky. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on the socials at BQN Podcasts or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, and on our Discord server. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about the next episode of Strange New Worlds, 4.5 Vulcans. Until then, we bid you peace and long life.
And from all of us here at the Magic Kingdom, have a magical day.
So, I do have to say one thing. The fact that we have been off topic so much is really indicative of the quality of the.
I mean, is it though? Because
I mean, yeah.
Aren't we usually?
I feel like not quite this much, unless it's with particular people, and not to say that Sue, you aren't
So
one of
it's
those
Sue's
people,
fault.
but...
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
No,
that is accurate.
There are people that when we have them on, I expect shenanigans, and I guess I have to now include Sue in that. Yeah.
Yeah, Sue reminded me at STOV we were having a conversation that I'd forgotten this, that she was the one that compared Murph to a butt plug in one of our Prodigy episodes. Yes,
you mentioned that earlier, and I had forgotten that. And if I had remembered that, I would have remembered that I should expect shenanigans. So. But I love shenanigans, so it's all good.
Oh my! And this time I just keep talking about porn.
Just a theme here with you.
I don't know why.
I'm sorry, I was scrubbing through the episode and got distracted by a close-up shot of Spock's ass.
I'm sorry about you having to edit this.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, at least it's going to be chunks.
Yeah, it's just we're gonna take like a 2-hour episode and cut it down to 30 minutes and it'll be fine.
Definitely remove when I didn't know when the Civil War was, please.